Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about when we're holding on and signs that we are holding on to old timelines. And this is a good one to do now with the summer solstice coming up soon, where we're going to see a lot of shifts and changes, old becoming very obvious that it's old. A lot of times what you'll start to find is the more you raise your vibration, stuff that used to sort of fit doesn't fit anymore. Distortions really start to scream at you because they're so discordant to where you are now, where your body is setting now. So we start to notice a lot of things. Things will start to get on our nerves, things that we used to never really notice, didn't really get on our nerves before, all of a sudden it'll start to bother us. And that's one sign that we need to really look at our story we have around that thing. We can look at how we feel about things shifting and changing and see what comes up. Feel the resistance in the body. I think I did a video on that not too long ago about body resistance and saying something like, I'm ready for new realities, I'm ready for change, and seeing what your body does. Because that's a huge sign. Actually, I think I'm going to do that tonight. Now that I think about that, I think I'm going to try that one tonight myself. Again, because it was something I worked on a couple months ago, because you really think, oh, I'm really open to all these new shifts, new changes, new realities. And then when you start to really say the words out loud, you can feel your body start to tense up. And that's what's keeping these realities at bay. Your body resistance. So really take a look. This is a good time to sort of take a hard look at where we are, because the gates to the solstice open up a lot earlier than that date. That date is just a marker. It's a marker, but it's not really when the portals and all the galactic gates start opening. So a lot of those are already open. And a lot of times you're feeling that energy way before. You might start getting dreams and glimpses of things that might be occurring over the next, I don't really like to put time frames on them, because it just all depends on us. It depends on how quick we get our frequency up to the frequency of the new reality that we're trying to achieve. So for some people, it might be 2 years. For some people, it might be 6 years. Because if you're not putting everything you have into it, it can take a lot longer. So you're going to be on a different kind of timeline of when a lot of this stuff will unfold. So your dreams are going to give you that first kind of look. That's usually what I will see now. I hadn't dreamed anything in a long time about what was coming in the next couple of years, and I've been starting to do that lately, which tells me I'm kind of my body's in a different place where you can finally see it. So if you can't see anything yet, don't worry about that. Part of the process is when you're kind of in between, you can't see anything. You're just doing a lot of clearing to get ready for the next thing. So look at what you're seeing in your dream state. Anything that pops out of your waking state too. It's also going to be a sign of things that could be coming down the pike for you at some point. Like I said, time frames are different. Any new reality I've seen and tried to bring in, it's a minimum of 2 years. Most of mine go 2.5 to 3. Some I'm kind of watching that could be longer than that. So it's definitely different for everyone. So just kind of take a look, look at your body resistance, look at when you say the certain things, what your body is doing, and then you can tell your body to release that. Release my resistance. Body, you can release. Kind of give it permission to release. You might have some days when you don't feel so physically well, because your body's trying to release that stuff. When we start vomiting, we're releasing a lot of resistance, self-worth stuff, different like grief energy in the lungs. We might have some respiratory stuff going on. So you can kind of have an idea of different things you're releasing. And sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm releasing guilt from an Atlantis timeline or I'm releasing guilt from something I did 10 years ago. It really doesn't matter. Our human kind of wants to kind of correlate everything and have this linear path to everything about, oh, this is related to that. Oh, wait, no, this is related to that. Things are related, but they're not related in that very linear way. So your human brain's not going to be able to pick it apart. It doesn't have the capacity to have a multidimensional, energetic existence in a sense. It's just kind of here to keep the body going. The brain is to keep the body functioning. So you're really not going to be able to piece it together like that. But you'll start to see the correlations of things that don't seem related. But that's through reading your energetic field. It's through opening up the heart, higher mind consciousness, which comes on once you open up, heart consciousness. So all that stuff will come. And if you can't see it yet, don't really get too bogged down about that. Just know that it will if you keep asking, what do I do to bring in these realities? What do I have to do? And then look what's going on around you. You'll be able to see what needs to go. If you don't have the money for stuff, that is normally a sign that something about it needs to shift. It's either not the right time to do that project. It might not be you're not in the right space. Like if you're having no money coming, coming in, and money kind of shifts a lot when you're in higher realities. And there's a lot of stuff a lot of us go through with money to kind of start to understand the uses for money, what money is really there for, and to kind of bring it through to how we utilize it in our new realities, and not getting money and trying to go back and utilize it how we'd use it in our human realities. So that's one reason why a lot of us will go through different money. I don't want to use the word shortage, but we don't get an allowance a lot until we learn we have to kind of relearn everything, we have to relearn how everything really works, relearn how you really make your choices, relearn how you spend your money, relearn what is highest aligned. Can you come from your highest place? Will money separate you off? So a lot of times money will be removed until you can prove over and over again that you can come from that place all the time, even when there's money involved, because money is one thing that'll separate people off very quickly. It'll separate humans off very quickly. So you can keep an eye on what comes in. And if you're not getting money for certain things, a certain car payment or a certain house payment or rent payment, it might be a sign that it's time to close out that timeline and move somewhere else. And sometimes it might seem illogical, because you might move to a place that's more expensive than the one you couldn't afford to pay for before. And it seems like that's very illogical to our human. Why would you go to a more expensive place? Well, that's where you're supposed to be. And if it's aligned for you to be there, the money will come in for you to pay for that new place. So it's not logical. It's never going to be logical. You can also look at who's kind of coming in, who's kind of coming in and who's kind of going out. People who are going out, let them go. Doesn't mean you won't see them again. Our human always wants to tell stories that once these people are gone, you'll never see them again. Some people you might not see again. Some people you might see again in a different timeline, a different aspect of them. They'll serve a different role. They'll serve a different function. It's not really ours to worry about when other people's journeys will intersect back with ours again. If it's meant to, it will. Just know that if they're leaving, they're not aligned right now. If they're going to be realigning later, aligning in a different frequency, you'll know that. If you're supposed to know that ahead of time, you'll know that ahead of time. If not, don't worry about that. It's important you let these people go, these jobs go, these things go that are becoming difficult to put your body in. If your body's uncomfortable when you're in certain places, you're tired all the time, you get drained, you energetically just feel drained all the time. Because a lot of people will say, oh, people are draining me. It's that we get into that victim energy a lot. And it's not that anyone's draining you. It's your body's trying to keep a vibration up, being in a vibration that's not a vibration that's going to support your vibration. So if you put yourself in a vibration that can't support your new vibration, your body has to work overtime to keep your vibration at your new set point. So it's going to get tired a lot quicker. You're going to notice that you just have no interest in things you used to be really interested in. You don't want to go to the same places. You might not want to watch the same stuff on TV. You might want to watch TV at all. You might be in a phase where you don't want to see anything. We kind of disconnect from a lot of the external world, pretty much the whole thing, to connect internally. So it's a good time right now to just see where we have the resistance, what's trying to go and we don't want it to go, what's trying to come in that we don't want it to come in because we don't like how it's coming in. I've had that one quite a bit from myself, when you kind of judge how it comes in. Our human wants to judge how it comes in. Our human doesn't like the way certain things present. But look at what is presenting. And if nothing's presenting, just be patient. Something will present. It might not come in the way you want it to. It didn't come in the flashy way. It didn't come by the person you thought it would come by, It's kind of like when you look at the tarot and all the different nights in the tarot, you kind of have the one night, or, you think, oh, it's going to come in like that. And then it comes in with this other one and you're like, what are you talking about? Why is this person here? It's kind of like this part of the movie where this random person shows up that you might have known, you might never have known, or maybe you saw him once and hadn't seen him for 5 years, and all of a sudden they're playing a very important role in this new reality, but you don't like how it comes in. We go through so much of, we just don't like the way it is. Our human doesn't like the way some of these new realities start to line up, because it's trying to align them in a human way. It's trying to align them on success. It's trying to validate them by a human standard. how much money is this reality bringing in? Who's around us in this reality, or is anyone around us in the reality? How did that video do? Or how did that piece of work we put out, how did that do? And it tries to judge it by human standards. And you can't judge any new higher consciousness realities by human standards, because it's a different gauge of measuring what success really is and what's really important. So, don't be upset or start getting frustrated if you're not seeing new realities yet. It takes a long time for these to come in. We have to hold that consciousness for years. We have to embody that consciousness. We have to live from that consciousness before we really start to see some of our dreams start to anchor in. They start to materialize in front of us. And the solstice is a good time to really kind of look at where we are holding ourselves back a little bit, because we're always going to be what's holding ourselves back. We don't like to hear that. We like to hear it somebody else. We like to blame somebody else. That's the human, this person, that person, that person. I didn't get that promotion and I don't want to stay in this job anymore, but it's the boss's fault. But no, from a higher perspective, the boss wasn't supposed to give you that job because you're supposed to leave and go somewhere else. That job's not aligned anymore. Their job, their contract with you was to get you out of there. You'll find some people might be ruder than they used to be. I ran into that a couple years ago. I used to go to this place and it was probably always a little borderline, but I knew I had to be there because I had different contracts I had to fill there and I was there for a reason. But there was still a part of me that got to the point where these people got so rude. And I was like, but I could get, my human ego could get in it and go, why is everyone so rude? But we have to look at it as you're not supposed to be here anymore. They're getting you to your next marker. You can't stay here. You're not wanted here. And you can almost, your human will be like, oh, it's not like I'm not wanted. Exactly. You're not wanted here anymore. You need to go on to your next timeline. You need to go on to your next thing. You're not wanted here anymore. You can't stay here anymore. Look at them as doing you a favor. They're fulfilling their contract. They are getting you out of there. Tick tock. You have somewhere else to be. You have to make your mark somewhere else. You can't miss your mark. So you can either hold on to this old stuff or you can just let it go. And that, I know it's harder. Trust me, I've had to let a lot of stuff go. It's easier to say it than to do it, because we have to resolve it all inside first. Just saying, oh, I'm going to let it go doesn't work. You have to energetically resolve it. See why you wanted it, why you were holding on to it, what program you were running, what story you have wrapped around all this stuff. What do you not want to let go of? What's your identity based on? In human realities, we base our identity on everything external. We don't have any identity. It's all about where I worked, who I was, who I was with, how much money I had. That's how we valued ourselves. How popular I was, either within a physical reality or in a virtual reality or in social media. That's how we gauge our importance in our human realities, and all that gets turned on its head, and you have to leave a lot of that stuff behind and start to pat yourself on the back and appreciate yourself because no one's really going to do that. Humans are going to pat yourself on the back for new realities, new higher consciousness realities, because they don't make any sense to them. You look bizarre to humans and humans look bizarre to us because they're living in a consciousness that we don't live in anymore. So you start to see the whole matrix start to fall apart. And in the beginning, that's scary because you don't really have anything new to kind of put your foot on. It's kind of like you're watching a sinking ship and you kind of want to try to reboard it, but your new ship's not here yet. So you're kind of just waiting out on the dock and doing all this stuff to kind of get ready for that next ship to come in, or that whole fleet of ships to come in, and they're just not there yet you just watched one sink. And occasionally you might get a little boat to pull up that looks kind of like an old human reality, and you're really tempted to go back for a while, and then you kind of learn that that boat's got a hole in it and it's going to sink too. So there's really no point. I'll just keep waiting, but not waiting in a place of I'm just going to not do anything. Preparing, looking at what should I do, asking every day, what do I do next? Listening to what your internal monologue is, looking at what signs you're getting externally. If that helps from the beginning, that can help a lot. The external signs. Look at what's going on around you and say, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do today. And it might not be logical. You might think, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to write a book. But no, I feel like I gotta go take a walk today, because that's what you need to do. And it's not going to be logical. You have to take a walk to raise your vibration so you can get to that point to start writing that book or start doing whatever you need to do. It's not going to be logical. Just go with how you feel about stuff, and don't discount stuff that doesn't seem to make any sense. All right, this is going too long, so let me cut it off. Okay, keep practicing the art of intuition.